The most sublime truth of all has never been stated, or sung, or written. Not because it is far away and can't be reached, but because it is so intimately close. Because it is closer than anything that can be spoken. It is truly alive as the stillness in the core of your being. Not my being, or her being, or his being, your being. Alive in the stillness that is the core of your being. It is too close to be described, too close to be objectified, too close to be known in the way that we think of knowing, as knowledge, as objects. But it is yours already. It's already present. And the only reason that I have appeared in your consciousness is to simply confirm that. I truly have nothing to teach you. You probably know more than I do anyway. There have been plenty of teachers who have taught exquisite and true and useful codes of conduct, methods of meditation, ways of living in the world, ways of manifesting in the world. But what this appearance that is called Gangaji is in your consciousness is simply a pointing to the stillness that is alive in the core of your being, and an invitation to turn your attention to that, to let that live your life, to give your questions to that, to give your answers to that, your failures, your successes, your form, your formlessness, your action, your inaction, your choice, your choicelessness, all. To give it back to where it came from, back before creation. This is possible only because you are that stillness. It would be impossible, regardless of the intention or the effort, if you were who you think you are. Who you think you are is by the very nature of thought limited. So however grandiose that thought may be, it's still limited. But who you are has never been spoken, is closer than you can know. Who you are is where it all is.
I'm far from being still.
You are far from being still. How do you know that? Who told you that?
I feel far from being still.
Okay, there's a feeling.
Yeah.
And the interpretation of that feeling, since the feeling is agitated, is that what you mean? The feeling is agitated, so then there's a conclusion, oh, therefore, that means I'm agitated. And maybe there's a mental agitation that goes along with that. So that's further proof I'm agitated. But I'm here to tell you that you are still. And this agitation is in your body, perhaps, in your emotions, perhaps, in your mind, perhaps, in the elements, perhaps. But you are the awareness that recognizes the agitation. You follow this? There's agitation. Can there be a recognition of that agitation without some awareness of that agitation?
No.
Right, that's simple, isn't it? Is the awareness of the agitation agitated? Yes, it bears checking. Just take a moment to check. There's agitation, I understand. A lot of agitation. And there's awareness of that agitation. Is awareness agitated?
No.
That's right. Awareness is still, isn't it? Yes. I say to you, you are that awareness. The agitation comes and goes. Calmness comes and goes. Awareness is eternal. It is eternally still. You are that. You can't catch it with your mind. Yes. Because the mind just gets agitated further in trying to catch it. Let the mind do its thing. It doesn't matter. You are the awareness of the mind's agitation. You are what is already still.
Wish I could believe it.
It's not a question of believing it. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. I don't want you to believe it. I want you to investigate and see for yourself. Is this true, or is this just another belief? In your life, moments of agitation have appeared and disappeared, right? You haven't been agitated every second of your life. Maybe the majority, I don't know, but
A lot.
that's the way it is with certain nervous systems. They vary, like plants vary, or patterns of weather vary. In human beings, certain nervous systems experience or generate more agitation than others. The awareness of that agitation, that has never come and gone. That's always been present, and it's always been still. The dilemma and the suffering comes out of misidentification of yourself as your body, which can be agitated or sick or in pain, or your mind, which can be spinning or calm or confused, rather than the awareness of all of that.
Okay. What happens for me is that I get almost overwhelmed with feelings.
What gets almost overwhelmed with
My
feeling?
body.
Your body.
Yeah.
Now, does the awareness of that get overwhelmed? Check it out. Be sure.
No, but okay.
Just, I'm willing to go on, but I want us to stop along the way, because if we can nip the misidentification in the bud.
I get a feeling that happens in my body. And then I go, okay, I'm angry or I'm upset or whatever. And it's so overwhelming that I think my mind will just go.
Yes, that's overwhelming to the nervous system, right? The awareness. Just for now, just for checking it out. Has the awareness of that gone anywhere, or gotten agitated, or been diminished or overwhelmed in the slightest? It's very good you're taking time to look. Yes, take time to see this. I don't want you to accept it because I say so. Don't do that.
I feel like there is a little fight that goes on in my head.
There's a little fight. There's a big fight. Yes, there's a fight. The mind is fragmented, isn't it? Into the good guys and the bad guys and the mediators. But the awareness of all of that, is there any split there?
No.
You're doing very, very well. You're telling the truth. So the very fact that you're willing to tell the truth, even though you are experiencing the suffering of this situation means that your interest is more in truth than in this identification of yourself as this body. This is excellent, excellent sign. You can believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, throughout time, conditioned existence has been taught. So you have to learn that you're your body. And that learning gets translated into thoughts. And then you have to learn you're being a bad body because you're in pain or you're agitated. And stop that, you bad girl. Slap, slap. And then another part fragments off and says, I'll stop it when I feel like stopping it. Leave me alone. Bam, bam. And this is what goes on in your mind, right? I'm not a mind reader. This is what goes on. This is what goes what goes on in individual minds and goes on in the collective mind. In the collective mind, we witness it as wars. Religious wars or political wars or genocidal wars, but it's the same mind at war with itself. One side of the fragmentation of mind deciding the other side has to go. There's no room for it here. And the identification and the suffering in that, or the self-righteousness in that. But the point here is, there is an awareness of this war that is not at war, that is peace itself. And that is your soul. There is an opportunity at this moment in your lifetime to align yourself with your soul rather than these warring factions of your mind. I'm not saying the war will immediately end. I'm saying if you align yourself with your soul, the war won't be empowered. They'll run out of provisions. There may be clashes, but the war's steam will have finished because your central attention has shifted to its source, which is awareness itself, vast, limitless awareness. Peace, stillness, has shifted to who you are, not who you thought you were. Mm-hmm. Who you thought or think you are is only a thought in your mind. It comes and it goes. It changes, it mutates, it likes, it says you're good one day and bad the next day. Mm-hmm. The awareness doesn't change, doesn't move. Radiates the presence of love, regardless of the thought, I am bad, or I am good, irrelevant in the face of this awareness. And somehow you know it. I understand the suffering. And I don't want to trivialize the suffering or dismiss the suffering as non-existent. I mean, it is, but I don't want to dismiss it as that. Yes, I want to wait till you do that. Then we'll laugh together. Because there's a weight there, and there's an identification there, and I'm not asking that you now layer on top of that identification another identification called I am awareness. Because then they're just stacked, and you can walk around saying I am awareness and smiling and laughing, and then 4 o'clock in the morning, oh yeah, comes up. Because it's just another belief. But if it's not a belief, if it's in fact a direct experience, then whatever arises in whatever time of day or night, you can investigate the truth. Has awareness been diminished by this? What is the separation between me and awareness? Do you find one? A separation between you and awareness?
I do at the moment.
At the moment, because you identify yourself as a body separate from awareness. But awareness is here always, and this body comes and goes. Even in a day. I'm not even speaking about deep sleep now, but in a day, aren't there moments when you're not aware of your body? Yeah, you're aware of other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you're aware of spacing out.
Yeah.
Aware of daydreaming. Aware of working intently, focused. Aware of dancing, aware of liking something, aware of not liking. Oh, then aware of the body, aware of the heartbeat, aware of the breath. Back and forth. The constant in that is awareness. Yes. Yes. This is you that you've caught it. When you recognize this, then you can explore awareness with awareness. And then you see, does it have a boundary? Is it a thing? Is it limited? Then you recognize we, what we call ourselves, are all in awareness. There is awareness here, aware of awareness here, and differences in the form here and here, but the same radiant, simply absolute awareness. Yes, I see you catch it. This is beautiful. It's your willingness to tell the truth, your willingness to be exposed, to investigate, to be free. Yes, and amazingly, this awareness, even though it doesn't have attributes of beauty, is beauty. Even though it's untouched by good or bad, is radiantly good. Is God itself. Because in truth, God has never left the soul. I'm very happy to see you see yourself. There may be moments, I expect moments to come where self-doubt or agitation will once more say, no, you're mine. This life is mine. That's all right. You just stop and tell the truth. Has awareness left? Has awareness changed? Is awareness at peace? It's not forcing your mind to be at peace or forcing your body to stop suffering. It's just telling the truth. And then the mind naturally unwinds. The body naturally comes to a place of equilibrium. Or not. It doesn't matter, because the truth is being told, and the truth is primary. So there's a certain point where you tell the truth. And this point is now, obviously. And that's why we meet. We meet in the spirit of truth. We meet to surrender to truth, to the mysterious force that has already appeared in your life and said, come here. Come home. Rest. Be still. That's what meditation is. That's what practices are. That's what prayer is. That's what rituals are. But Papaji's invitation is not really a prayer. It's certainly not a ritual. It's not a meditation. It's not a practice. It's the immediacy of right here, right now, stopping looking for anything. being still. Not working on being still or working to keep stillness. Being still is being who you are, not cultivating stillness or being bigger in your stillness. Being who you are is being still. Being who you think you are is your lack of surrender to being who you are. Well, this is just who I am. You just have to love me as I am. That's who you think you are. And it's not lovable. You have to face it. And it never will be. It may be cute or not cute, but it's not lovable. Who you are is lovable. Because who you are is love, plain and simple. That's the truth. All the rest is some resistance to that, or denial of that, or searching for that. It's all the same.
And where I'm at now is there's been kind of an awareness of the story, and then going back into the story, and then the awareness of the story, and then going back into the story.
Does the awareness go back into the story?
No.
What goes in and out of the story? Because it's so great you can say no immediately. No, it's not the awareness. You're aware of something
Yes.
going in the story and going out of the story. It's just excellent. Excellent. What is it that goes in and out?
The awareness becomes aware of itself, and I'm aware of the awareness.
As awareness.
As awareness. And then I'm me again.
Uh-huh.
And then...
And where is awareness in that moment of me-ness?
Forgetting itself?
What's aware of forgetting?
Well, yes.
Yes. You see, what happens, just because the mind, as we have been speaking here in the last few days, is so brilliant, so awesome, awareness itself becomes an object. So I was speaking, no form, but you can then kind of have this amorphous, awareness. And so, of course, that's subject to appearance and disappearance. But the awareness of that awareness that comes and goes does not disappear.
Yes.
Me appears in it, the sense of me-ness, the physical, emotional, mental sense of individual nervous system, taking in individual processing of information. That appears and disappears, as does that notion of awareness appear and disappear. But there is pure awareness that cannot be notioned. And when you say forgetting, you are forgetting something. There's a problem with this phrase about self-remembering, as there's a problem with any phrase that is spoken and then gets taken out of context and gets worshipped, and then people have to self-remember. But you cannot remember yourself. It is impossible, because you're not a thing that is an object that can be stored in a memory bank. You can remember a notion of yourself, or an experience of yourself, or an idea of yourself, just like you remember your name. Every morning when you wake up, you have to remember your name again. It's quick because you've practiced it. But there's an instant where you have no name. And you remember it. And so we assume we can do that with the truth of who we are. You cannot. If you recognize and are willing to recognize that you cannot remember yourself, the truth of yourself, then immediately you will see you also can't forget it. It's not subject to being remembered or being forgotten, because it is not an object. Did everybody hear that? Who you are is not subject to being remembered or forgotten. So give up remembering yourself. This is worse than a useless activity. It's the carrot again. It's an image of yourself. It's like awareness or bliss or emptiness. But now this bliss and awareness and emptiness has a boundary, had a birth, subject to change and a death. Forget it. Save yourself some trouble. Forget it. Then you can see what is out of the bounds of memory, what cannot be forgotten, cannot be remembered, cannot be denied, cannot be found, and cannot be escaped. This idea of I will find it, or I will remember it, or I will keep it, this is an idea of you as a thing, walking around like a little stick figure, going after it. This is all in your mind. Forget it. Forget it. This is what Papaji means when he says, give up the search. And we think, he couldn't really mean give up the search. He means that, metaphorically or poetically. Not really give up the search. Yes, give it up. Give up the search. Give up the search, you give up the seeker. You give up this little stick figure in your mind, or this fleshy, wonderful, godlike creature. And see what is here. It's the same as dying, only it's dying consciously before the body dies. A word that I hear often when I suggest or demand that someone stop or be still or tell the truth is trying. I'm trying to. I'm trying to. You know this word? You use this word sometimes? I'm trying to. And this is a big trap. In using this word trying, what it usually means is, I'm trying to do that. And so the trying is the effort around doing. But really telling the truth, or being still, or stopping is much simpler than doing anything. And so once there's a trying involved, there's tension. Different from focus, it's tension. Because you can't quite find how to do it. And many people ask me, well, but how? That's really looking for some model or some picture or some image. And it is much simpler. It's much closer to home. You don't, you may ask how to be. But you already are. So if you'll stop trying to be, there's an expanse that opens up of beingness. Or rather, there's an expanse of recognition of beingness. That the trying is covering because of attention and contraction of energy. I want it, I have to get it. How do I do it? I'm trying to do it. Just stop. Okay, how do I stop? So you can see the dilemma in speaking about this, because language itself is already one step out from what is closest in. The simple fact of being. It takes no trying. So I really want you to understand that I'm not talking about changing your behavior. There's a natural appropriateness of behavior that there's nothing wrong with. The way you speak to your parents, the way you speak to your children, the way you speak to your friends, the way you speak to the desk clerk, the way you drive your car. This is just appropriate behavior that gets learned. But deeper inside, there's often a tension at trying to be something that behavior says you are. Trying to be a good person, trying to be brilliant. And the fear is that if I don't try to be, I will be the reverse of that. I will be a bad person. I will be a stupid person. Trying to be of worth, or I'll be a worthless person. Trying to be enlightened, or I will live in hell and ignorance. And so, of course, what has to be faced sooner or later, and the suggestion of this message from Ramana and from Papaji is sooner, is right now, is that which is being avoided. And Ramana gives us the example with facing death. It's all about facing death, all of it. But our mind fragments death into lots of little mini deaths, like being worthless or being no good or being condemned to ignorance or hell. So in this moment, if you aren't trying to be anything or anybody or anywhere or any way, who are you? What are you? What is here? If you aren't trying to be someplace, where are you? If you aren't trying to be, are you? It's possible you can at least glimpse the extraneous energy and unnecessary suffering, which is the attention of your lifespan, which may be over today or tomorrow or in a year or 10 years, who knows, but the attention of your lifespan is spent unnecessarily, extraneously. So the question, where is your attention, is the same as what are you trying to be? Who are you trying to be? What are you trying to escape? Which is the same as who are you, really?
How do I stop the obsession?
This is beautiful. This is the question. How do I stop the obsession? Yes, this is a true question. The real question behind that, the question, how do I obsess, can be seen. The how to stop the obsessing cannot be seen, because stopping, you get this? But what can be seen is how the refusal to stop and its justifications and its tangents and its sophistication and its cynicism, how it plays itself based on desires and hopes and fears. But what's already stopped within you?
Everything. I don't know.
So when you make that statement. I don't know. There's awareness of that statement.
Mm-hmm.
Is that awareness moving in any direction?
No.
That's right. So the secret really is that when you stop identifying with the movement and you identify with awareness. I'm not speaking of observer and observed. I'm speaking of the awareness of the observer and the observed, in which both the observer and the observed appear. So already you are stopped. And so when I say stop, you are already stopped. You're already awareness. Attention is gathered. Stop to what already is at peace, where fulfillment is already. Yes, you see that.
Yeah.
This is the beauty, how simply and really easily it can be seen. With that beauty, there is a tragedy. How easily it is turned from. How easily it is trivialized, given up, dismissed, denied, ignored. But the ease is not diminished by the turning. So still within you, however many times your mind has turned from this simple and radiant truth, there is the welcome, there is the invitation home right now.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You are very welcome. This is an essential experience that is available to anyone who is even curious enough to investigate. From this essential experience, there is choice. There may appear to be lack of choice, but you have an experience now of what is already at peace, already stopped, already free, already who you are. That's the gift my teacher sends to you from me, via me. This is Papaji's gift. Did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, I'm just enjoying.
That's the opening. That's the beginning. There may come expect many, many challenges. But always, there is this very simple truth. What is free, what is conscious, what is at peace, is the awareness that is present every moment. That's who you are. Who you think you are gets its power from that awareness. Awareness has no problem with any thought. Only thoughts battle each other. That's why you can have a horrible history as a thought form acting its way out in the collective mind, and you can still return home as a prodigal son.
The question is there ever a time when awareness is no longer overshadowed by emotion?
Actually, all the time. All the time. What happens is the mind, the individual awareness, the ray of universal awareness gets fixated in a loop of emotional drama. But if at any moment in that loop, at any point in that loop, the individual mind stops and examines that moment, investigates that moment all the way, whatever the emotion, instantly there is full clarity and awareness. So then every emotion is a vehicle. Every moment of every emotion is a vehicle. Awareness is not overshadowed by anything. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. You see, we use this word awareness, but often what we're talking about is an individual state of awareness that gets called mindfulness or equanimity or oceanic or samadhi or clarity. Those are states of awareness. And then we also have what we call the negative states, which, lack of equanimity, confusion, anger, negativity, fear. Those are also states of awareness. But you cannot have any of those states without awareness. This is not illogical. This is very logical. You can have awareness without any state. You don't need any state for awareness, as some people in here have discovered. There can be a moment, an instant of nothing happening. Just awareness, as you just spoke of. No trees, no me. Just awareness. Then trees reappear. Does awareness disappear? Well, how would you know they're trees if awareness disappeared? How did you know there were no trees if awareness disappeared when there were no trees? So what happens in certain spiritual conditioning is we start to elevate certain states that are elevated. So we don't start to elevate them. They are elevated states. But we start to assign the elevated state as the truth of awareness, rather than recognizing awareness is present in any state. Awareness is omnipresent. Awareness is God. It is always here, omnipresent, omniscient, knows everything, is aware of everything. That doesn't mean some powerful thing, knowing what you're thinking, knowing you blinked, you didn't blink. It means in your mind, everything that occurs or doesn't occur occurs in the presence of awareness. The shift, the break, happens when you recognize, as was spoken of here so beautifully this morning about the cars passing on the road, but here you are. Emotion as weather. So the winds came up this morning, there were whitecaps on the lake, rain came, but here you are. You didn't change. Life didn't change. So it's dropping the individual awareness deeper and deeper back into its source. Not so you have to stay in the source. Because you can't be separate from the source. If you stay in the source, then there's still some latent thought, if I don't stay here, then I won't be awareness. So then, this is a fluid, effortless being. Awareness is effortless. Identification with particular states of awareness is perhaps part of the organism, perhaps part of the evolution, and is the source of suffering. Because then there is identification with a sufferer. And a sufferer is an image or a sensation that appears in suffering that is identified as me, associated with the body and the sensory nerve endings of that body. But deeper than that, there's awareness. Aware of the suffering, aware of me, aware of the identification, and free. It's already present. The mystery is how it got overlooked. But let's leave that as a mystery. We don't have to solve that mystery. Just stop overlooking it.
I've had moments that I would say I was stopping and waking up, and then I have moments where I would say I'm aware that I'm not awake. So there's kind of that being awake and being aware that I'm not awake. And I don't really know what the question is, just
let me
looking
ask
at
you
that.
a question.
Yeah.
So when you say, oh, this is so rich, because everyone can relate to this, surely. So I want to know what you mean by I am awake or I am not awake. What I is awake?
There is a moment of seeing like how I usually see myself, that then seeing it like it's a horse, like a horse that I have. That personality is just this horse that I have, but it's not me,
Beautifully.
Yeah.
And then in the other moment,
then I am the horse. Yes. And it's very real. And then sometimes it's like, oh, I'm being the horse, and I remember that I'm not the horse, but it seems really real now. Yeah.
So what is exactly the same in both of those experiences? We understand what's different.
Yeah.
One's light and one's dark.
Yeah.
Or one's identified and one's free of identification.
Yeah.
But what's the same? What aspect of both of those experiences is unchangeable?
I don't know.
I know, it is so close. It is so close that it goes overlooked. When you said, initially you said, and then I am aware. I am aware that I'm awake, and then I am aware that I'm identified as a horse. Are you aware that you are awareness?
I get the idea,
Impossible. You can't get the idea because it doesn't make sense, but you can catch the reverberation of it. It's like tuning, and then we're on the same wavelength. And then what happens is you try to get it as an idea, and it's flat. You lose the tune, right?
Yeah.
So, in the experience of I am aware, I am awake, and I am aware, I am not awake, What is unchanging is that I am aware. The truth is, I am awareness. What happens is we identify with the experience of awakeness and we hate the experience of ignorance. And that's then this spiritual dharmic wheel. I'm awake, I'm asleep, I'm awake, I'm asleep, I'm awake, I'm asleep, which is the same wheel as the worldly wheel. I'm good, I'm bad, I'm rich, I'm poor, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm beautiful, I'm ugly, I'm stupid, I'm brilliant. Familiar? I mean, I must have gotten your version. We all have all parts of it, many spokes on this wheel. But the spiritual one, and that's what I'm speaking to many people with, is I'm awake, I'm asleep, I'm awake, I'm asleep, I'm awake, I'm asleep. I want to be awake all the time. I don't want to be asleep anymore. All the time overlooking what is closer than awake or asleep. What is free of both awake and asleep. Now, I believe it to be so, I'm not sure about this, but I believe it to be so, that in order to discover what's closer than awake or asleep, you have to first have had an experience of I'm awake. Because there's this tilt to our experience of ignorance, sleep, and then there's an essential experience of awakeness where you recognize, I am not this personality. I am not this set of this story. I'm not this story. There's a recognition there, and it is a beautiful recognition, and it is filled with light and freedom and joy and laughter. It's an essential experience because it's the counterpoint to the normal experience. But it is not the final experience. It's the opening for the final experience. It's what Papaji would call half-baked. Half-baked, but half-baked is half-baked, right? Half-baked, good. So back in the oven is to discover, okay, if I'm aware when I'm awake, and I'm aware when I'm asleep, who or what is it that is aware? So when you say I'm aware, who is aware? Is it not awareness itself that is aware?
Seems
Well, like right now. Isn't there awareness of this exchange and awareness of whatever may be happening, or awareness of no awareness of what's happening? But awareness is here. So close, closer than any thought, closer than any heartbeat, closer than any awakening, and closer than any sleep, closer than any identification, and present in every identification, as well as every awakening.
Yeah, when I feel into it, it's like it doesn't fit in a word.
It doesn't fit a word, that's right. That's right. But a word fits into it. Every word is in it. You see, do you catch it? What I'm talking about here? This is not just giving you another spiritual search. It's not giving you a religion or a set of beliefs. It's first of all acknowledging that you have had an essential experience. Now, if you haven't, you don't know what I'm talking about. And you will have one. You'll get one. Because they're contagious. One thing. And it's what you want. So you'll have it. I mean, your mind is turned in that direction. But I would say 90 to 99% of the people in here have had an essential experience. Even if you don't remember the exact experience, you have the echo of that experience resonating in your being. Even if that experience happened with some substance. even if that experience happened in your sleep, it's there. That's great. Now, what was unchanged even by that experience? By that blessed, hoped for, prayed for, searched for, worshipped for, worked for, experienced experience. What is unchanged by that? When you find yourself, you find what is unchanged by any experience. Blessedly delivered from hell, but unchanged by that delivery. You understand this? Because otherwise you will fear hell, and you will resist hell, and you will hate hell, and you will spend the rest of your attention in this life story avoiding hell. And then that becomes the religion, the avoidance of hell, the avoidance of pain, the avoidance of suffering. And then the life is once again very superficial, only now it's a spiritual superficial life. Don't settle for that. The essential experience is the counterbalance to the normal experience of plodding through life miserably, neurotically. There is an essential experience that penetrates and cuts through. How it came to you, I don't know. And I suggest you don't know. It's very skillful to not know how it came to you. By grace, by luck, some mystery. There's an opening, and there's a direct knowing of oneself as free of the personality, or free of the identification, or freedom itself. This is the profound teaching of Ramana when he says to be still. To be the stillness that you are. And this stillness is eternal. And it is the sublime nectar of being. It's not a magic potion. It won't keep bad experiences away, but it will keep the truth shining regardless of experience. It won't keep your body from aging or keep your body in perfect health always, but it will keep the radiance and the innocence and the purity of your own nature obvious regardless of the state of the body or age. It won't bring you great riches. It won't help you win wars. It won't make you the queen of the world or the king of the universe. But it will reveal the source of power, which is the resting place, which no war can disrupt, which no individual power can touch. So in this moment, as we're gathered here with our attention on this, if just in this moment, for just 5 seconds, 30 seconds, you just put aside the whole story of who you think you are. The story of your unenlightenment, the story of your enlightenment, the story of you don't have it, the story that somebody else has it, the story that you had a horrible childhood, the story that you had a good childhood, the story that you're beautiful, the story that you're ugly, the story that you're superior, the story that you're inferior, the story that you're brilliant, the story that you're stupid. Just this moment, just put it aside. Then where does your attention go? If it doesn't go anywhere, where does it go? Where does it rest? This is present always, in every body, in every moment. That's the glorious good news. Let your attention rest in itself, in awareness, and experience yourself. Not to get something, because that's another story. Not to keep it, because that's another story. Not to wake up, because that's a story. Awareness is awake. It's awake. How else would you know you're asleep if you weren't awake?